How you doing, people? Somebody just dropped off a Yonex Muse racket 100 SL, as well as a V-Core 100 Lite. I think that's what that red one is, which I will make that video next. But this one's about the Muse. Give you a look at the throat area. It seems like it's taper beam, thicker at the head and the 3 and 9 o'clock area, and then it tapers down into a very thin throat. So you can see it's a Muse 100 SL, 100 square inch head size, 265 gram on strong weight only, 33 millimeter balance point, and it's a 16 by 18 string pattern. Recommended tension on this racket is between 40 to 55 pounds. That's a big range. Wonder what that. Wow, that's a big grommet hole over there, that blue one. Wonder what that's all about. Nice racket for beginner intermediates. Yeah, here it says the beam width is 24 at the top in the middle, and then 18 millimeter at the throat. I'm mounting this with the Yonex logo YY right side up. Usually with a brand new racket like this, I'll bump up the reference tension setting on here by half a pound to a pound to accommodate for the loose grommet. Customer opted to go with the all white string to match the frame. This is a beginner player. Some players do look for string colors in a specific color. Doesn't matter what the performance or string type is. I could spend like a long time explaining to them the pros and cons of different types of spins, but if they're only going for color, this happened to be the only white strings that I have currently, which is the Goshen, made in Japan, Goshen brand, OG Sheep Micro. Durable synthetic gut with good performance. It could also be used in the hybrid setup in a cross section, in the crosses. So OGSM in a 17 gauge. Today I must have strung like 5 rackets total. It's a Saturday, people are off, and we're headed into fall now. Summer officially ended a few days ago. So I think people are in this rush to get their stringing done so that they can play during the last couple of months of the outdoor season in September, for September and October. Also, the girls' high school or junior high school, the girls' tennis season has started as well. Recently, I've tuned up rackets for a few high school players as well. So this is 16 by 18. So normally if I were to string this from a reel, I'd be able to cut the crosses like shorter by a foot and a half. And especially with these, how stretchy these soft strings are, I can cut them shorter even still compared to polys that aren't as stretchy. So this racket has 8 grommet holes in the throat, so I'd have to go in from the head area instead. We're stringing this for her at 48 pounds of tension because her husband did mention when dropping off that the player suffers some carpal tunnel syndromes. For that, I'm dropping it by a few pounds because normally I recommend stringing these soft strings between 50 to 60 pounds. But they're looking for extra comfort, I'm dropping it by a couple of pounds even more. Okay, I'm gonna string everything at 49 pounds actually, because this has brand new grommets. So I pull the first string at 50 pounds. For the second string, I will start pulling everything at 49 pounds instead. My new base clamp is so far is working out pretty good. And the original one on the opposite side is still holding up. And whenever that fails, we'll go ahead and buy a replacement for that. I hope the price won't go up that much. I mentioned in my previous video that I paid only about $130 something, shipped from Europe to here, for this new one right here, which is not bad at all. Still don't know if I'm gonna go ahead and upgrade my stringer to the tennis man or not. I kept saying that I want to, but if this string machine is serving my needs and I'm getting enough customers who have no complaints whatsoever, then perhaps changing the machine isn't a priority. I mean, I could see that if I change it to a tournament level machine like a Wilson Bayardo, I could definitely use that in my advertisement campaign, you know. So I don't have like the $9,000 that they want for that thing. We'll never go and string for any pro tournaments. So that's really not an urgency. U.S. Open is coming up. The Friends and Family Week is coming up in next week. Last couple of days, I heard that they had too many people signed up for that week. Starting this coming Monday, they had to shut down the registration. And then somebody said in my tennis group that they open it up again for people who want to go. They need to hurry up and sign up. I live in Jersey, which is the next state to New York. It takes about an hour and a half drive, considering traffic, to get to Flushing Meadows, where the U.S. Open takes place. So in the past, I've gone in the third rounds, and I've gone in the during the free week as well. And I put out videos from it. But yeah, at my age, I'm really not looking forward to like crowded venues and paying, you know, hefty price to go to a big stadium like Arthur Ashe, and then you sit in the middle tiers or the upper tier, whereas you can watch everything with much better clarity from home, the comfort of your couch. But there's a group or two from my tennis group on WeChat that are going, so I might go with them, although recently I haven't really followed their activities. Just been busy stringing. Yeah, this guy, how he found out about me was I sold him my one of my two Ultra Pro 97s that I bought. I think they were V4s in the dark blue paint. That racket is quite advanced. Yeah, advanced players up to the pro level use that racket. So at the time when I sold it to him on Facebook, I had no idea that he was just a beginner. I don't make a habit of asking my potential buyer like what level of tennis they play at. Not like I'm about to string for them or something, because I sold that racket as unstrung, you know, brand new. Bought a pair from Tennis Warehouse, spec matched and everything. Actually, I matched them myself. I think I bought 3 of them. I just I picked the two that are closely matched. Anybody know what that design was intended, please let me know. Otherwise, I'm just stringing it where I normally string with knot tie off extra tension added for the knot tie off. As soon as I said that, I forgot to add it to this one, so I gotta pull it again. Instead of 49 pounds, I'm pulling at 53 pounds. Reclaim it. Let's check the tension balance. One of them was a little high, maybe clamping distance did not match. But the center two matched. That's what's more important. For these soft strings, I'm using Parnell knot. Don't want the knot to slip through the grommet hole. Although for these brand new grommet holes, it's as tight as it can be. So even if I use a smaller Wilson Pro knot, I don't see it skipping through. Oh, I see what that big hole is about. It's a shared hole. That's why it's so big, because this is string pattern is 16 by 18. So I'm counting the actual grommets. Yes, so in order for that to add up to be 18, I'd have to use these shear holes, both top and bottom. So I'm counting that as the cross, the first cross and the last cross, the shear holes. And I'm starting my crosses from the third cross down. If I can get it in. Yeah, I don't understand why when people buy these brand new rackets, they don't get the retailers to put on some string of their choice for them. It's not like these rackets come pre-strung from factory with sync out already and they had no choice to pick their string. They do have choice because these online retailers or wherever they bought it from would also sell strings, I would imagine. But they chose to bring them to me, which I don't complain. I think in the past I did mention to the guy that he could get them strung with free labor from the retailers, but he still brought it to me, which is good. So yeah, I sold him this racket like last year, I think, on Facebook, and then while I'm talking to him, like when I was dropping it off, and I found out that he was a complete newbie. So that Ultra Pro 97 will definitely be 2 events for him. But I wasn't gonna, cancel the order or whatever. As a matter of fact, I think as a newbie using a more advanced racket, it will actually help them more because it's it's harder for him to find a sweet spot. So through training, if he is able to find the sweet spot and everything, he will be hitting everything more accurate for when he does switch to other easier to use rackets. So like I mentioned, even though I'm pulling everything at 49 pounds, I'm gonna put 48 pounds down on the label because that's what I told him. So this is just my internal adjustment for a brand new racket. It's a personal decision. As long as I'm consistent doing it this way, you don't have to. I'm doing it this way because I like to compensate for the tension drop that there's inevitably going to be from brand new rackets, brand new grommet sets. I would also do this on an old racket with after replacing the grommet sets for them, because it's the same concept. When the grommets aren't fully seated, you lose tension. That is just, you know, physical nature of things. So far this color, I would say the woman made a good decision on the color. They do match with these. They have these white, how do you call these? White patterns on the paint job. The racket itself is like some kind of grayish or greenish white. And then they got these white strips of white lines on the sides. The Yonex logo, Yonex print, the words are actually white. So they match this string color perfect. And being that she's a complete beginner, string's not gonna matter to her as much compared to good practice, good training and taking lessons, good strokes. And the overriding factor is gonna come from the racket itself also. Keep forgetting tying off the first string, so let me do that. As soon as I pre-weave this one, you can pre-weave one, you can pre-weave two. Sometimes I pre-weave all of them until I run out of the tag end, but usually that's more of a hassle on stiffer strings, but on soft strings that's not an issue at all. Right on camera, I have to pull tension on this opposite end first. This way we're relying on this clamp instead of this one, therefore I can move this one to clamp off the first string being tied off. Alright, and I need to add the tie off knot tension. I'm tying it off in grommet hole number 6. Otherwise, I forgot to mention that there are no skip holes on the main strings. The last string goes through a shared hole that's used for both the mains and the crosses. So no skips for any of the main strings. That makes things easier. It's hard to make a mistake as long as you realize that the last grommet hole is used as share holes. So there are 1, 2, 3, 4 share holes, 2 at the top, 2 at the bottom. So actually, let me pre-weave a few more since I can before I run out of spaces down there. That will restrict me from pre-weaving. See how easy these strings slide on top of each other without causing any damage. As long as I still fan them as they move them up and down. So we can, dissipate the heat that's created from the abrasion. So they won't burn into each other and creating notches before players even start to use them. And we pull slowly like what I just did just now. It's not gonna burn. But when you're pulling faster, then you have to make sure you definitely fan them. The only downside on pre-weaving all these strings that I'm realizing now would be that the amount of wait time between strings will be different. Like for all these crosses that are strung so far, the wait time is relatively the same because I go, from one to the other back to back. Whereas from this one, the tension string to the next untensioned string now, I've just waited all that time, couple minutes that I spent pre-weaving these. That's the only difference. And then you still have to spend time organizing these strings, making them go on straight. That's why I'm putting my fingers here to maintain tension. And then we're running into another situation where I'm wasting more time from this pre-weaving compared to if I were to just do pre-weave only one in advance. This here I didn't leave enough of a loop, that's why I'm having difficulty pulling the loop out. Since we only have 18 crosses instead of 19, I'm sure I'll have a few extra feet left over, so I'm just cutting off like a couple of foot safely so those couple of foot don't have to run through the string bed. Down to the last two strings to weave. When I string from the reel and I cut my strings just right, I can't pre-weave the last two strings. But since I have so much left over on coming from the pack, and the fact that this is a 16 by 18, with one less crosses, I can pre-weave down to the very last string, which is this one that I'm weaving. I want to go above this second last main, therefore I'm going to go from a downward angle up. Actually no, above the second last, but I should go below the first or last main string here. So I just stuck it through below this guy so I can come out above the second guy. This way you create a tighter interwoven, you know, alternating lock-in string bed. I was taught that by a fellow YouTuber, Haru. Sorry if I pronounce his name incorrectly. But he's a master at stringing badminton rackets. He was showing me, matter of fact, he does still do that in all his stringing videos. He can tie knots not only above the string bed, but he also pulls them below and ties them, let the knot end up below as well. I think that ends up being better, but it is something I haven't mastered yet. I think in terms of string tennis rackets, it's kind of optional because most tennis racket stringers don't practice that from what I've seen. Alright, down to the last string. See, even with the two feet of it cut out, I still have a foot and a half extra. Pulling it a second time just to make it even tighter. And I don't know which one is the tie-off hole, just sticking it to the hole above it. That seems to fit. Nothing sticking out of the frame. Seems like that's where it's meant to be. Second last grommet for the tie-off hole. Wonderful.